All right. So here we are. Rebecca and I. See if I can catch us. 4:30 on a Friday. Time to have some fun, especially in these days. So welcome to our Amplos Wine Channel. Our first episode. We're very, very excited about this. So just to make sure that we get a nice, calm atmosphere, I've turned everybody on mute. So it's only me and Rebecca that are important. I want to say thank you guys for being on this show. I hope you're going to have a fun time. I know we're going to have a fun time. We're going to drink wine. We're going to talk a lot about what's going on here and share this exciting stuff that is going on at Amplos in our vineyards. Sometimes we'll do this in the winery, in our kitchen, wherever it makes sense.
And if you guys have questions as we go through this, be sure to use the chat function.
And Rebecca's going to be watching the chat, and she might interrupt me. You know, that's very unusual, never happens. And she will bring questions ahead. We may put them towards the end of it for a Q&A session, but sometimes we'll answer the questions as we go along. Rebecca's told me I'm not supposed to wear a hat, so let's just get rid of the hat. Is that better? Okay, that's better. What you're going to see here, you're going to see me and Rebecca, Peter and Rebecca work. You're going to, sometimes you're going to see some dogs. Let me just see if I can get a dog in on this one here. So we got a dog lying down here. That's Artemis. And we got Apollo down there in the back. So those are a very important part of our circus here. So they will be part of the show here as well. And somewhere in the back, there's a clicking going on. That's because our good friend Kelly Hackney, who's a wonderful videographer, a fantastic guy with a camera, got a great eye, pictures, etc. Those of you that have seen our video out on our website, Kelly shot that, and he decided to come up here and join us today, have some fun with us. So Kelly, good to have you here. That's Kelly. That's Kelly. He's here. By the way, he's 6 foot away, so don't worry. Always 6 foot away. Technology used to be our forte. It's not any longer now. We're farmers, but we're trying to figure out how to get this Zoom technology to work. I hope it's working for you guys. Okay, you can hear things. We have been playing around with different stuff with microphones this morning. It's really hard to do it when you're not in a professional studio. Kelly says it's kind of okay. The problem we got here is that it's Mother Nature. It's called Santa Rita Hills, and it's wind, so it's pretty windy out here. So sometimes it might get a little bit noisy, but forgive us that one. We are also recording what we are doing here today, and there will be an Impact 4 file floating around on the cloud somewhere. We'll send a link out afterwards. Let's talk a little bit about what the game plan is. We first will cover about who we are and where we are. I'll show you a couple of pictures. I can figure out the technology to do that. And then I'll just look a little bit around in the area we are at between block 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And at some point in time, people got to get way too impatient. I'm sure some of you are too impatient already. So we're going to pull a cork. I'm sure a lot of corks have been flying out there already. Somebody has yeah, there's a bottle of Amplos right there. That's cool. What we are drinking today is 2018 Santa Rita Hills Pinot Noir. If you pulled one of the other corks, then it's too early, or just because you're too thirsty, and then you better order another one for next time. We'll cover a little bit about the wine, talk about details behind the wine. I mean, it is a virtual tasting, so we've got to cover the wine. And what's cool about being here is that we can kind of point around and say, this wine comes from here, this wine comes from there. So that's one of the great advantages we have by living here in the middle of the vineyard, is that we can point you to where the real stuff is going on. We'll always have a topic of the week. That's the next thing we will cover. And I did a virtual tasting show with the Wine Militia here last Friday, a week ago. It was a lot of fun. But I was told that I talk way too fast. And with my funny accent, it doesn't help a whole lot. So I'm going to try to slow down. The topic of the week is something we pick based upon seasons, based upon where we are. And the topic of the week today are actually two topics. One will be the chicken and the critters that we have, the good and bad ones. And the other obvious topic is cover crop, because Rebecca and I are sitting in this wonderful smell of a salad bowl. We've just been mowing part of our cover crop. I had the guys leave a little bit out there, so we'll take you over in the middle of the cover crop later on and talk about what function that it has out here. We'll then get into a Q&A, the chat room, and then finally we're going to do a landing session and discuss how we proceed from here on. So anyway, let's just cover a little bit about who we are. Many of you guys have heard the story. Many of you have heard it many times, but just to make it kind of short, about 20 years ago,
Peter never makes things short, just a warning.
But it do get interrupted, then it gets longer.
What can I say?
So about 20 years ago, we bought this beautiful property that we are sitting here at right now in Santa Rita Hills. I'll just kind of swing the camera around. So what we got here is we got there's our section with Grenache here. We've got some Pinot Noir behind it. And I'll show you a map later on of what the whole range looks like. So we are in the middle of 82 acres here with about 25 acres. Now it's right up against the sun. That's probably not good. But with about 25 acres planted of vineyards. Bought it 20 years ago, and then planted the first vineyards in 2001. Let's see if I can get this picture back here. Here we go. Planted the first vineyard in 2001, where we planted initially 15 acres of mostly Pinot Noir, Clone 115 and Pommard 4. And then we added on in 2004, actually the sections around where we are right now, with additional 10 acres. Planted mostly with Pinot Noir, also a good amount of Syrah and some wonderful Grenache. And then we've been adding on a little bit of Riesling since then. From the original planting, there's also a row of Viognier, as well as some acres of Syrah.
And the reason we have Syrah and Grenache, which is not common in Santa Rita Hills, it's how my husband keeps me happy, because I like grown varietals.
So you got to keep a marriage going, and that's why you also see the wines that are coming out. We've got a fair amount of Pinot Noir. We actually have more Pinot Noir than Syrah, but we love our Syrah. We love our Grenache. We're going to taste a Syrah in a couple of weeks. We're going to taste a Grenache, a little bit older Grenache. So I think that you're going to enjoy those wines as well. So we started out with the planting, and in the end of 2001, we left corporate America and moved up here, where we, in the meantime, had built a little house, our home at the ranch. Moved into the home. They didn't have hot water yet, so it was a little rough the first few months living up here. We started getting used to not just driving a tractor, but also to understand what are some of the things that happens in the vineyards throughout the year. What are the exciting things that we do?
I think we've got a dog who's worn out.
Okay, I'm sorry, we lost the dog. Artemis, oh, that's Apollo. Apollo's taking a nap. It's kind of cute. But anyway, Apollo, you're on. But yeah, so the getting fascinated by what happens in Mother Nature throughout the year. And that was really a cool thing for us to get into. So not just to understand, things like what are the different things you do to a vine, but also understand the importance of soil, the importance of sunshine, the importance of rain, and all those factors that Mother Nature gives you that are just cards that are being dealt to you that you've got to learn to get the best out of. And what we learned was that, as opposed to corporate America, where we can control so many things, where we are up here, there are a lot of things we can't control because we're doing what Mother Nature wants us to do. Let's see if I can figure this out here of showing you guys some pictures. Let's see if I can get that up here. Hang on a second. There we go. Just give me 1 second here. This is where it gets a little bit tricky. Oops, back to this. Dip. Okay. So what should happen now? Great. So not everybody here is from California. There are a lot of people from outside of California. California looks like this. Most people think California and wine is Napa Valley or Sonoma. That's not it. So we are about 2.5 hours northwest of Los Angeles, about 5 hours south of San Francisco, in the wonderful Santa Barbara County, Santa Ynez Valley, and Santa Rita Hills. And just to, oops, one too far, to dive a little bit further in to Santa Ynez Valley, what's very unique about the location here is that we have a coastline that is east-west. It's southern facing, very unusual for West Coast United States or West Coast North America, where you have a western south coastline. because of that, the mountains also turn. So as you look at this map, you'll see that we got east-west mountains. And to the south of me, where we are here, we got Santa Rosa Mountains. Right west of us are the beginning of Santa Rita Hills. And to the north, we got La Purísima Mountains. These three east-western mountains form two east-west valleys that open up all the way out to the ocean. So that you have this great influence from the ocean layer coming in. And you should hopefully now see a Santa Rita Hills map where you can see those three southern mountains. We are located over here towards the eastern part of the Santa. Maybe just one more picture. You should get a picture of the range. That's a layout of the range where we are, where we live, where we've been for 20 years. And just to dive a little bit more in, so we get, when we go down here to the section between the Pinot Noir 667, 777, Grenache, and Syrah 470, that's exactly where we are located right now. So that's it. A little background, a little bit about where we are. And what are we doing now? Should we talk chicken?
Let's go talk chicken.
Let's go talk chicken. Let me just capture this picture back here. All right. Good. Let's go take a look at the chicken. Chicken is so darn cool. So it's a really good story behind the chicken. And that is way back in about 10 years ago, we started having some problems when we were picking grapes. We always picked by hand and sort the grapes by hand. Some of you guys have been out there sorting with us in the morning, early in the morning, middle of the night. And what we would see was that we'll see that, gosh, whoa, man, like a snowstorm. Look at these guys coming running in here. So we would have these problems with mealybug, these little insects that will sneak up and get into the clusters. And they would spin this white dew around the clusters. And we didn't know, what are we going to do with these guys? There's actually a wild turkey somewhere here as well. It's over there in the corner. So my foreman found out that if we get some chicken in here, the chicken actually will go after the ants. And the ants have got this symbiotic relationship with the mealybug. So if we can get rid of the ants, we can get rid of the mealybug. So we brought in those chicken. Right now, it's the beginning of the year. So this is one of our chicken coops, and we probably have there's probably about 25 chicken in here. We've got about the same amount in the other chicken coop, but they're already getting on the eggs. It's a little cold for them now, but when we get to the peak of the season, the summer, we typically have about 150 to 180 chicken. And we let the chicken out of the chicken coop in the morning, and they will just run up in the vineyards, and they run up in the blocks, and they know exactly where to go to, and they'll go after the ants. So because of that, way back about 4 or 5 years ago, when we picked the grapes, we didn't see mealybugs any longer. So we haven't had mealybug problems since then.
And we're actually now started on our 9th generation. So they are starting to breed some of the eggs now. And the way we prevent from inbreeding is we rotate with other vineyards that have chickens, our roosters. So we exchange the roosters in order to not get the inbreeding.
But just a wonderful way, we think that instead of spraying a bunch of insecticides out there, that we can work with Mother Nature to find some natural ways of dealing with things. All right, Rebecca, I'm getting a little bit.
I think everybody's getting thirsty.
Everybody's getting thirsty? Okay, let me get the camera back here. There we go. All right, so should we go up the vineyard? Taste a little bit up here. Let's do that. Let's do that. All right, guys, time to pop a bottle of wine. You got it ready? Or you already been drinking it? Oh, wow, it's getting low. Okay. Hopefully you still got a little bit so we can share it together. Becca's working hard here on getting the... All right, Rebecca. This is Rebecca at work here. How about that? All right, Santa Rita Hills 2018. Just a wonderful glass of wine.
Kelly.
Kelly gets one. Kelly, there you go, buddy. As I've been saying, I'm not an expert on this stuff. All right, good. Let's go on the vineyard. So we're going to bring you guys up here in the middle of the vineyards for a couple of reasons. One is because it's just so damn pretty right now. Is this a good soft spot?
Perfect.
All right, let's do that. Oh, how's that? Ah, doesn't get better than this. Awesome. Everybody's nicely situated. It's as nice as Rebecca and we are here.
Peter, your salad bowl.
Oh man, this is good. I'll tell you about this later. That's good. So, Pinot Noir is just a wonderful grape to work with. It is, as many of you guys know out there, that's probably why you are together with us here today. It is the king of the grapes. It is the grape that makes the best wines in the world, in many people's mind, also most expensive wines in the world. But it is a grape that's very sensitive. So it doesn't like to be in a lot of places. It needs cold, but not too cold, not too hot. A little bit wet, not too wet. So very sensitive. So as an example, if we go from here, I'm talking too much, am I? We've got to say toast. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, enjoy.
Cheers. Happy Friday.
Wait till you get to try my Grenache in the next series.
That's way down the road, isn't it? So if you go down to Buellton, which is only about 10 minutes east of here, it's too warm for Pinot Noir. You go to Lompoc, 20 miles west of here, 20 minutes west of here, where we make the wine. It's too cold out there. So where we are here in Santa Rita Hills is just an ideal climate, ideal place for Pinot Noir. The wine that we are drinking here is it's kind of our entry-level Pinot Noir. But we wanted you to taste it because we think it's just such a wonderful, nice and soft Pinot Noir. Technically, it is made from the different clones that we have. We have 7 different clones here at the ranch. It is the first time that we made the Santa Rita Hills wine 100% from our estates, from the vineyards. That's also the reason why some of you will be a little surprised to see that the label is kind of reversed in color compared to what it was in the past. It was in tan background, but now it's burgundy background, and that's how we symbolize the conversion we done to 100% estate.
We have a great question.
We got a question.
I got a lot of people chatting right now.
Okay, good. Thanks, guys. Thanks for chatting with us.
Got a great question. Somebody asked, how did we select the clones that we initially planted?
That's a good question. So the first planting we did in 2001, the clones were selected not based upon our knowledge, but they were selected based upon the vineyard consultant we were working with back then, Craig McMillan, who really did a great job in recommending. He said 115 is like the kind of I can do everything clone. So we got to have some of that. It's like a great standalone by itself clone. But he loved the Pommard clone. And we are like, well, okay, whatever. Pommard is not as much planted here. And the first couple of years we harvested that and made it, we are not too impressed. But it's really been coming around. It's more kind of a middle Rhone clone is from Côte de Beaune area, as opposed to the ones with 3 digits. We call them Dijon clones. They're from the northern part of Burgundy, from the Côte de Nuits area. But then in 2004, when we decided to add another 10 acres of vineyards, we decided to add 4 more clones to it. And that was where we reached out to our neighbors who wanted to help us out. We spent time with Chris Curran over at Seasmoke, tasting through the clones and the barrels over there. We spent time with Chad Melville at Melville. We spent time with Bruno D'Alfonso. He was at Saintfort back then. And we spent some time with Sashi Mormon, just tasting through different clones to find out what did we plant, wanted to plant of Pinot Noir and also of Syrah clones.
Just for people's, in case you haven't had a chance to do any barrel tasting with us to understand it, the clones really, every single clone has a distinct flavor. And so it's just like a shaft, depending on what kind of style we're looking for in our wines is really dependent upon the clones that we're selecting for that. So Peter and I want to make very elegant French style Pinot Noirs, and therefore we don't use clones necessarily that are like those big, bold in your face, and instead we like soft, elegant, smooth Pinot.
Good question. Sorry about the long answers. It's all passion. So a little bit more about the 2018 Pinot Noir here. It has been 10 months in oak barrels. And we are scaling back to using less oak in general because we don't really feel that the wines need that much oak, just a little bit to support them. But we don't want it to be overwhelming. It's also a different style that we are moving towards with this, more about finesse and elegance. So 10 months in barrels, about 15%, give or take.
I'm sorry, Peter, somebody chatted in here. They know Peter very well, apparently. Peter cannot talk enough, but then possibly could dance in the back of that pickup truck.
Oh, no, don't talk about me dancing. That's not even funny. Who was that? Can you just kick that person off? So the barrels we're using for this, we work with 5 different coopers. We want always to use coopers that don't have too much influence, not too overly aggressive, but just a little bit of nice oak addition to it.
Peter, we've got another great question. Wanted to explain the difference between barrels and cases. And I think the question is about why do some of our labels we put cases on and other labels we put barrels?
Yeah, that's a good question. We put barrels on whatever has been in barrels. So the wines that don't say barrels but say cases was because it wasn't in barrels. That's what we use for our Viognier, which is stainless steel, never saw a barrel. That's what we use for our Rosé, and that's what we use for our Riesling as well. So that's the reason why it is. Because it wasn't a barrel, we couldn't say barrel, but we like to call it something.
To give you a little bit of rule of thumb, a barrel produces 300 bottles or about 24.5 cases, which is 12 bottles to a case. One vine typically will produce 1 bottle of wine. So we need 300 vines basically to produce a barrel of wine.
So think about it. When you look at the vines back here, each one of these guys is basically going to produce 1 bottle of wine this year.
Another great question. And that is, when you say less oak, does that mean less new oak?
Yes, I'm sorry about that. I mean less new oak. All the red wines have been in oak barrels, but this is about the new oak barrels. And that's again like 15% or so are new oak barrels. The other ones, we call them old or neutral barrels. They were new barrels, but after 3 years of use, then they don't add any oak flavors. Therefore, we call them neutrals. Good. I want to talk a little bit about where we are sitting here now.
The number of dogs we have are 2.
2.
They're mixed breeds. They were rescue dogs. One is 10 years old and one is 9 years old. And one is called Artemis, who's the goddess of Zeus. And Apollo is the god of Zeus. They're twins. And Apollo means the all-knowing. And Artemis is the hunting. And boy, let me tell you, they fit their names perfectly.
I want to actually show this picture of a hunter here because that's really cool. So, she just walked away. She was just staring at the chicken. So sometimes he will try to get those chicken, but most of the time she's staying pretty cool. Let's talk about what's going on around us because it's really, really interesting, I think. So we are sitting in the middle of something that looks like a field with a bunch of green stuff growing. And it's actually really, really important. When you think about Mother Nature and working with Mother Nature and farming, every year we steal from Mother Nature because we take crop away from here. We take grapes away from here. We got to give something back to Mother Nature. Since we don't subscribe to the model of conventional farming, we don't spray artificial fertilizers. And by the way, there's going to be another episode where we're going to talk about organic, biodynamic, sustainable, and really put some details into that. So I don't want to cover that too much here. But this is all organic, all biodynamic, what you're looking at. We got to get some nutrients back into the soil so that the plants with their root system can uptake these nutrients over time. And the way we do that is when we are done with harvest, then we will go through the rows and loosen the soil, and then we'll go through and seed it. And we seed it with this wonderful cover crop. So everything you see behind me here that's green was all seeded just about 4 months ago. So it was seeded in December. And it has been growing because we had a fairly good amount of rain. So it's been growing here through the winter. And what happens with these type of plants, these are legumes. So they are a type of plant that are able to bind nitrogen. So they will uptake nitrogen, which is about 80% of the air that we are breathing. And they will bind that in the plants. At this point in time, they've been uptaking as much nitrogen as they can. So we are now going through the vineyards, and next week I'll show you what it looks like. Then there will be no more of these plants growing here because we are all harvesting them, we are all mowing them to mow them and harvest them for nitrogen. And that's literally going on as we speak. My two guys here, Jesus and Chento, have been working the last couple of days on mowing everything. I just asked them to leave a few rows so I could show them to you here. And then they're mowing it, and then they're disking it back into the soil. So we get all this nitrogen incorporated into the soil. The nitrogen will end up becoming ammonia, that becomes nitrite, and that is a nutrient. It's just a wonderful way of fertilizing the soil, and again, to fertilize
What I
the
like
vines.
to call it is my dog's salad bowl, because when this cover crop, they've just been eating a whole bunch of it. When this comes in, they just go crazy for all these sweet peas and fava beans.
And that's what this cover crop is. So you see some of the white flowers here behind me, they're beautiful right now. That is peas, sweet peas. Rebecca was just finding one for me here. It's actually
Delicious.
tastes great. Kelly and I had some earlier today. It tastes like peas, right, Kelly? Yeah, sure. Goes really good with Pinot Noir. So it's fava, it's sweet peas, it's fava beans, vetch, oats, and rye, all again great at binding nitrogen. So it fits so much into our philosophy here of doing the best that we can for Mother Nature. Cool. So I think that was a little bit of what we want to share about.
Talk about
what's
the
going on.
style of how we make 2008 or the Santa Rita Hills versus our.
Yeah, so we make a total of actually 4 different Pinot Noir. And I know a lot of you guys have been trying 3 of them, maybe all 4 of them. And we want to differentiate them in different ways. So this one, again, is one wine that's meant to be easy drinking, get fast to the markets.
We noticed that a lot of people's palates, Peter and our style of making Pinot Noir is like the French. We like to barrel age it for a long time. We really don't rack our wines. We don't manipulate them. We don't do anything to them. We just let them be what they are. But we also notice that there are other palates who want this much younger, fruitier wine, and therefore caused us to start making what we just call the Santa Rita Hills Pinot. It's the only one that doesn't have a Greek character for it, because Peter and I have yet to land on what it should be called. And that's why it's missing the Greek character right now. So if anybody have good ideas or suggestions on what we should use as a Greek character, send them on to us.
I tried Alpha, but it just didn't go through the review board. We make our Lambda, which is kind of our mainstream wine. That's more like 2.5 years in oak barrels.
Great question. Sorry, and I'm glad you guys are asking us. Wanted to know what we meant by racking.
Oh, racking. Yep. So what racking is, it's kind of a tradition that you take the wine once a year, you bring the wine out of the barrels, you clean the barrels, put the wine back in the barrels, and let it sit for another year. And that's the style that Rebecca and I made wine in for a number of years. But then we tasted through the barrels together with some of our friends, and we decided, let's take some barrels and not rack them and see what happens. And they helped us to find the right barrels. And we realized that those barrels became our favorite barrels. So probably like 6-7 years ago that we just said, let's forget about racking. So no racking means that the wine, from the moment it's done with fermentation and maceration, which is a couple of months after the grapes are picked, that wine goes into that barrel and it stays in that barrel until about 6 weeks before we bottle it. So therefore it can get up to, for some of the wines, up to almost 3 years of barrel aging with no racking before it gets out of the barrel.
I've got another question that will follow up along with this. The question was, they have a 2007 Santa Rita Hills Pinot.
Oh, wow.
Want to know if they've missed the window. So one thing about racking, it's an artificial way of a winemaker to age their wine. So if they want to get it to the market quick, they want it to release it fast and have a smoother and not quite so sharp in the mouth, they'll use racking, because introducing oxygen automatically or artificially ages the wines. What we're doing is we are making wines to last for a long time, and that's what we really want. You can, many people say they never have this problem, but you could remove a cork from one of our bottles, only drink half, put the cork back in, come back 5 to 6 days later, it's gorgeous, it's not oxidized. That's because we're not introducing the oxygen to the process. So a 2007, I bet you is still drinking fine, though I probably would drink it within the next year or two. But we've opened up 4s and 5s and they've been gorgeous.
And 2007 was the first year that the section we're sitting in right here, which this right here, Pinot Noir 777, is on the newer block that were planted in 2004. In 07, it was the first year that they really kicked in gear. We harvested a little bit in 2006 from them, but from 2007 was really a combination of all the clones that we had.
Okay, we're getting a lot of great questions here. You're going to keep Peter and I busy. What they wanted to find out what was our background or what caused us to get pushed into going organic and into getting into winemaking.
Yeah, so I love that question, and it really comes back to one thing that was very important for us, was to do the best for Mother Nature. And we are thinking about what are we doing when we are spraying out there? And we do spraying because we spray fungicide. We are all vineyard spray fungicide. Those that say we don't do any spraying, I wouldn't trust them. But we do spray fungicides out there. But we spray good soft material. But we were looking into what is the way we are using. We like to sleep with the windows open, and we breathe the fresh air in. But we are worried about what is in that air if the guys are out spraying at that point in time.
Well, the scary part of it is it's when you spray, you put up the crossbones and the skull heads and say, do not enter your vineyard for 48 hours. And we're living in the middle of it, as you can see. And we have dogs and horses and chickens. And we said, oh, this is not good at all. So another question that came in is, when did we start going biodynamic? Towards the end of 2005 is when we had been talking to our vineyard consultant about biodynamic, and we made the decision to go 100% biodynamic. And so in 2006 was the year that we did for the whole year. Took us 3 years to get certification because that's what it takes. And so just for those who are not aware of, we are the first vineyard in the US to be certified organic, biodynamic, and sustainable. So we do walk the talk.
Good question. And again, we'll talk more about organic biodynamic in one of the upcoming episodes.
Another question. Wow, this is great, guys. Please tell us about this Pinot and what you would recommend to eat with it.
Yeah, so what I like to do with this Pinot Noir is that, first of all, because it's nice and fresh, it is a great Pinot Noir for it goes good with sunset. So it's a good glass of Pinot Noir to have maybe before dinner as a little kind of refreshing Pinot Noir. If we want to use it for dinner, I will pick on one of Rebecca's favorites, even though she's so darn picky herself, which is Alaskan salmon. Get some good Alaskan salmon and get some good king salmon. And marinate. How would you marinate that for that?
So I grew up in Alaska, so Alaskan salmon is the only thing I eat. My husband calls me a salmon snob.
Cheers.
So one really easy trick, there's 2 easy tricks on cooking Alaskan salmon. Number one, the easiest way is you get a really good teriyaki marinade. Just coat it with the teriyaki marinade, let it sit for a couple hours, and then throw it on the grill. The other way, which is really typical Alaskan way of cooking salmon, if you have a fillet, put onions and ginger inside the fillet itself, wrap it with cheesecloth, cover it with mayonnaise, and then you throw it on the grill. What happens is the mayonnaise keeps it moist, and then when you remove the cheesecloth, you're removing the skin too, and you've got the most moist, unbelievable, flavorful salmon. And the trick with ginger, and why we use ginger in Alaska a lot, is ginger kills or eliminates the very fishy taste of fish that a lot of people don't like.
And then what I would do is that I would just go right over here to Andrew, and he's an organic vegetable farmer, and I'll just pick whatever he's got, and a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of salt, pepper, and then throw that on the barbecue as well and serve it together with the salmon. How would that be?
I think we're having that tonight.
All right, that's cool. Awesome. Sorry again about the wind coming in here. I know that it might be a little bit irritating.
Well, I actually end up, where I get fresh salmon, because it has to be Alaskan salmon, It just has to be. Trader Joe's does carry Alaskan salmon, but I also have a couple of fishermen in Kodiak that I work with, and they ship down flash frozen salmon for me.
And I'm sure you can still get that right now. So do you want to do a few more? You know what? I think I need a little more wine in my glass. What happened with it? Did you hide it back there? There we go. It's just refreshing. What do you think, Kelly? Do you need more wine? Kelly's glass is empty too. Come on up, get a glass, but stay 6 foot away. What a silly question. There we go. All right. Good.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed this. And another question. Where are we from? Well, here's the interesting thing. I'm from Alaska.
And I'm from Brooklyn.
And he's from Denmark. We met in LA. He proposed in Macau. We got married in Greece and had our reception in Long Beach. So we're kind of an international couple in a way.
And now we're definitely as local as it gets up here. So I know there'll be a lot of more questions rolling in.
Okay.
What's that?
I think somebody's trying to get me in trouble.
What happened?
They want to ask if we're going to make another Dornfelder.
Yeah, that would get you in trouble. So let's cover the Dornfelder story. You guys got time out there? Everybody's on mute. Nobody can interrupt me. That's good. So in 2006, that was the first time we harvested this block. We noticed that the color of the Pinot was fairly light. And we are wondering, how can we get this a little bit darker? And a friend of ours...
using Mega Purples, which is really bad grape juice concentrate, or Color Pro, which is a chemical that wineries use to darken Pinots. I've often been pouring our Pinots at tastings and everything, and people say, oh, this is a light Pinot. I will tell you, this is the color Pinot's supposed to be.
So a good friend, advisor of ours, was saying, hey, what do we do with this? He said, well, you know what, maybe you can do it like they kind of do in Germany, where they'll take a little bit of a Dornfelder and put that in with the Pinot Noir, because it's a very, very dark grape. And we're like, Dornfelder, yeah, there's a guy down the road. That was when Norm Huber was still here. He had Dornfelder. So in 2007, we purchased 2 tons of Dornfelder from Norm Huber, fermented it. And it's we always joke and say Dornfelder is the grape that makes Petit Syrah look like a rosé wine, because it's as dark as it gets. So we bought some of that. We fermented it. We still have the stains on the fermenters. They don't go away. It's so darn dark. And we blended it in, and it turned out it didn't really work too well. So we ended up bottling in 2007 as well. We bottled 132 cases of Dornfelder. And we thought that we would never get rid of that, but we were very surprised to see it was just flying out the door. And ever since that,
except for your wife.
Except for Rebecca, ever since that, many people have been asking us about Dornfelder. Rebecca has this, she says everybody's got a love-hate relationship to Dornfelder. She was actually...
Wine Spectator called me and asked me about what I thought about the Dornfelder, because not many people were making it. And they wanted to do a story on the Dornfelder.
Oh, that's right.
And so James Lawley called me and said, what do you think about the Dornfelder? And I said, well, either love it or you hate it. There's no in between.
So we have not been making Dornfelder ever since. Maybe one day. Maybe one day when she's not watching what's going on in the winery, we'll make some Dornfelder. Cool. Well, I hope that you guys have been having as much fun as we've been having here. We just love to have this opportunity to bring you guys to the vineyard and to share with you our passion about what we are doing.
And one thing is, if you guys are interested, we're offering a special 3-bottle package for $64, and your Wine Club membership applies to it. On our website, you can order more of this Pinot Noir, and we'll have it shipped off to you.
And it's from now until Thursday, okay, when we do it next time. More questions, you can always reach out to us. We're very accessible. Give us a phone call, send us an email, text us, whatever works for you. And beside of that, I just want to say thank you again for your support of AM+. Thank you for sharing with us the wines that we are making. Hopefully we can get you to be as conscious as possible about what you put in your body, be as organic, as biodynamic as you can out there.
And by the way, I just read an article just 2 weeks ago. They're saying that wines that are made with organic grapes are helping your immune system because there's no pesticides inside this wine. And therefore, any wines that don't use organic grapes, there is going to be pesticides. They have proven that. And therefore, it might affect your immunity. Cheers.
Cheers. Go organic. Thanks, guys. And have a great weekend and be safe out there, okay? Bye.